around me are familiar faces, worn out.
Hello everyone, my name is Thomas White and this is Thomas Writes. Today I wanted to give y'all an update on my participation in Nanowrimo, or National Novel Writing Month. For those of you who have been following the channel, you probably know that I talked about preparing to participate in Nanowrimo for the first time this year. I've always wanted to write a novel, but I had never actually gotten a full first draft of a novel done before. I had always lost motivation or felt like the story wasn't up to my standards and so kind of tossed it aside. With that, I felt like Nanowrimo would be a good time for me to motivate myself to be able to complete a full first draft, and it really helps to have other people participating in this event as well, to kind of hold me accountable, as well as to encourage me in my own writing. So the purpose of this video is to just update you guys on the progress I've made so far, my successes, my struggles, and kind of let you all know what it is I've been working on. I hope to put up one of these videos every week to kind of recap how I did the previous week. So I hope you guys will stay tuned to see how my Nanowrimo project goes. And don't forget that if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you are also doing Nanowrimo this year. I would love to be able to connect with you, to be able to talk about our shared struggles, our shared aspirations, and just talk about writing in general. The novel that I'm working on is a high fantasy Middle Eastern inspired novel. I am taking inspiration from a lot of different ancient cultures, from Persian culture to Egyptian culture to Jewish culture, and kind of amalgamating them together in this big, grand, epic fantasy world. I haven't seen a lot of Middle Eastern inspired fantasy works out there, and as someone who finds that part of the world and the history of those peoples very interesting, I wanted to kind of pay homage to that in the book that I'm writing. The book that I'm writing would be the first novel in a series of books that, honestly, I don't know at this point how many books there would be in this series. I've kind of mainly just planned out this first book, and I'm kind of stepping from one to the other that way. Generally speaking, most people seem to think that it is better to plan out an entire series before getting into it. And while I would normally agree with that, for me at least, if I spend too much time in the planning phase, I will just never write the story. I'll get so bogged down in trying to outline every single little detail that I will never complete a full draft. So while other people may prefer to have a more complete outline of a full series, for me, I'm very much interested in the adventure of discovering what my story is going to be about and how it's going to conclude. That's just very exciting for me as a writer. So if you had to classify me into one of the writing tropes or writing groups, I would probably consider myself a planster, meaning that I do a bit of planning while also leaving room to kind of fly by the seat of my pants and just see where the story takes me. The title of my work in progress is The City Beyond the Veil. The reason for this will be explained when you read the book. But in all seriousness, I think that it's a title that just really evokes this epic fantasy feeling that I'm going for. I also used a free AI art generator to create this cover photo just to kind of inspire me and give me an idea in my head of what my novel would look like visually. I'm leaving a lot of plot details vague for the moment, frankly, because they may be details that I will change when more drafts come out and when I've workshopped the story more. So for now, I hope it gives you a little bit of a teaser as to what I am working on. Now I want to talk about how my writing went this week. And overall, I would say that my writing was kind of a mixed bag, because throughout the week, I would only write a few hundred words a day. Rarely would I ever hit the 1,600 words that NaNoWriMo recommends that you hit in order to hit the 50,000 word goal. For me, what it ended up being is I would write a little bit throughout the weekdays, and then when Saturday hit, I would just write a ton and just make it up with 1,000, 2,000 more words. That may not be the best strategy for getting the novel done in a timely manner, so I'm likely going to change that up in the coming week. Because I would say the biggest struggle that I've been facing so far is November is the finals month for me as a student. So I have to make sure that I'm not sacrificing my school obligations for the sake of my novel writing. And just trying to balance those two things has been a little tricky. Something that I have found that has helped me, though, is kind of sacrificing time that I would normally spend on video games or Netflix and putting that towards writing. Because writing, as tough as it can be, it's also very entertaining. So I have no problem sacrificing some of my entertainment time in order to write more. At the end of the week, I ended up writing a little over 7,000 words, which, in terms of the story that I am writing, ended up being the prologue and the first couple chapters. This means that my novel is going to be way longer than I thought it was going to be, because so far, the inciting incident for my story occurs in chapter 2. So already, it's taking us a little while for the action to get started. And I already know there's a lot of lore that I still need to explain about the world that I'm setting up, and technically the main character of the novel doesn't even get introduced until chapter 3. It starts off with another character who is important to the plot, but they kind of set up the stage for the main character who comes in chapter 3. So all of that to say, the novel is probably going to be quite a bit longer than I initially intended it to be. It is probably going to end up being more than 50,000 words. Now, will I be able to write more than 50,000 words over the course of November? I don't know. I'm going to shoot for writing the story as much as possible and just kind of seeing how long it takes me to get to the end. I firmly believe that a novel should be as long as it needs to be. There's nothing more frustrating to me than having a book that feels like it has been cut too short, or a book that has been stretched out way beyond where it needed to end. I gotta say though, at the end of the day, it is really exciting to know that I've gotten these first couple chapters down pretty tight, I would say, and I have a pretty clear idea of who the main characters are, what their motivations are, and where they're going to end up at the end of book 1. And now I want to end by talking about what I plan to do for week 2. And for me, my personal goal for week 2 is to complete Act 1 of my novel and get that down solid at the very least. In order to do this, I plan on taking more time away from my entertainment in order to put towards writing, as well as specifically plan out times to write during the week. I find that planning those times out to write is far more useful and productive than spontaneously writing whenever free time opens up. But overall, that's how my first week of Nanowrimo went. I came out of it with a pretty positive attitude, I would say. I'm really excited to see where my story goes. And again, if any of you guys are also doing Nanowrimo, I would love to connect with you. Feel free to leave a comment down below, and I would love to talk with you all about what you are working on, kind of get some feedback, maybe trade some bits of our drafts, and kind of see where we think our stories are at. I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick update, and that you will stick around to see what comes of my draft for Nanowrimo. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.